We go. Betsy, praise Jah, very nice. Good to see you. And Brandon, very nice as well. We'll give others a chance to join us if they're available. I know it's Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all you good mothers out there. For you bad mothers, well, probably won't go very well. Either way, we will try not to dwell on that part of it and hope there's a lot of good mothers out there who are feeling loved. Right, we're Christian witnesses of Jah. We're a group of people who believe in three things above everything else when it comes to the Bible, our religion, and our moral code. But we have a lot of freedom and latitude outside of those three things because, well, we just don't believe we should require other people to believe anything that isn't explicitly taught in our accepted authorities. So when it comes to God, the Bible explicitly teaches there's one God, the Father, but it also teaches that he has sons who are spirits, and they are also called gods or considered gods because they're spirits born from God. It's both a Hebrew idiom and an explicit teaching of Jesus in the New Testament. John chapter 3, what's born from spirit is spirit. The Bible doesn't teach consubstantiality. It's a later doctrine that came about when the Trinity was formally adopted as a standard. Well, of course, it took a while, but I'm just simplifying. Eventually, when the Trinity in its different stages of development became accepted after Constantine, it was used as a standard, by many to determine if you were a real Christian, Of course, things went back and forth for a while, and we're still like this today. But the Trinitarian churches have been predominant in many ways, right? And so we deal a lot with them. The Trinity is a big issue. Of course, it has to do with God, And so it makes sense that it would be the biggest or certainly one of the biggest issues. It's unfortunate that Christians cannot unite around the identity of God or the Messiah or the sons of God, right? It's pretty amazing. But what happened along the way in different ways, as we've talked about, is, after the New Testament, in the Bible, the Hebrew and Old Testament Greek and New Testament Greek scriptures, there's nothing that would in any way suggest that it's something you can use with, for example, Platonism or various Greek philosophies. That doesn't mean that those philosophies wouldn't have anything right in them. But there's nothing in the Bible that teaches anything other than what I just said. One God, the Father, sons of God, who are spirits like God, but born from God. They're also called gods. In fact, Jesus even uses a text in the Old Testament that while many people think they're human judges called gods, the fact is, whatever God he was accused of in John 10, 30 through 36, he used a text in the Old Testament referring to other sons of God as gods as evidence that he's not blaspheming by calling himself God's son, which, as I just said, was a Hebrew idiom, meaning a God, a spirit born from a spirit, just like Jesus taught, John 3 again, in case you forgot. Now, we talk a lot about the Trinity, as I said, and I was kind of just getting at it in a way that related to our main belief, though. It's one God, the Father. So because the Trinity is such a well-known belief related to the larger Christian groups today, but again, we go all the way back, and even we're in the New Testament. They're not, and their history is very suspect. We're not, and they're with the Dragon Church. We're not. But nonetheless, they still have reasons for what they believe. They try to use the Bible and support it with their arguments throughout history. So we deal with them a lot, But it rarely ever, if ever, brings people closer together. In fact, because we've had to deal with a lot of the more extreme Trinitarian apologists, it's gotten a lot off the track, I knew this would happen too. Just real briefly while we let people get in, we're talking about our main beliefs: one God the Father, Jesus as the sent forth Messiah, Savior, and the Golden Rule. Now, there's more to those, of course, but those are our essential beliefs, and everything else we leave up to you, right? So if it's not explicitly stated in the Bible, then that's your interpretation, okay? And we don't judge people based on their interpretation. That's what the Trinitarians do. That's what other groups do, Watchtower and other groups. Yeah, they really believe in their interpretation, even more so than the explicit words of the actual text. You know what that does in my view? It destroys the power of it is written, doesn't it? If we can't believe or use it is written, well, that's not very much like the master, is it? And aren't we Christian? So we deal a lot with the Trinity. We've dealt with people who are very extreme and unreasonable and unusual, right? And I've had personal involvement with some of them, that they're their main apologist in many ways, right, Sam? For over 30 years, right? So it's nothing new to me. But when I came on YouTube like 5-6 years ago, it took me a while to really even get into the whole Trinity thing. If you look back, I just started with day texts and talking about the Bible and God, and me and Betsy and a few others were just trying to praise Jah like we're doing today. But I'm trying to kind of give you an overview of some things and what we do, why we talk about the Trinity a lot, but we're not going to talk about it a lot today, unless you have questions. But this is our praise stream. Still, I know, you probably see a lot of Trinity stuff at the channel, and that's because we deal with it a lot. I'm well known for it. Dealt with it a long time, as I said, with a lot of different people, including Sam. But when I came on YouTube, I didn't really get right into that. In fact, I tried to avoid it. If those of you who've been around a long time know, even my early videos, I say that very clearly. Sam even came in like within the first year or two, and I had to ban him, because it was first year, I think, for pretty sure. Around the Michael videos, I think. Either way, he went insane, right? It was when he had around 40,000, I think, 35, 40,000 subs. Then we spread a campaign to get him up there. So when we take him down, right, it would be a total collapse. It worked. But we had to ban him because he was being disruptive, But then what happened was we kept going. We started doing Bible and Trinity conflict series. We had stuff we needed to talk about. Trinity's never going to go away. But then it kind of heated up with Sam like 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago. And it reached a point where we really got into it. And he did this video where he was lying so badly. It's the video that I discussed in my first 8-hour plus video with the multiple Sam faces on it. The original 8+ hour bomb video that I did delete originally, because I'll get to it in a minute. We did that show, and Sam, this is when he first really upset me, if you remember. It's on there. It's in the 8+ hour video and the clip, New Testament letter openings. That's where I really first got upset with Sam, because things were heating up. He was lying, and then he did this video, right, where he lied about Genesis 48. He lied about 1 Thessalonians 4. He was trying to respond to me on Michael the Archangel. Never did. But the worst part was, remember, he started to say that the singular verb. I did a post about it and everything, and it was so upsetting because he said that the Greek pagans, the Greek Orthodox pagans who are so proud of, speaking Greek, modern Greek, and their use of the Old Testament in Greek and their knowledge of the New Testament in Greek, right? They think they're the main ones in Greek. But they get this wrong, right? They literally gave Sam an argument. He said it in his video that in working with the Greek pagans, they pointed out this use of the singular verb for God and Jesus in the openings. When Paul, or whoever's writing, usually with Paul, he refers to both of them with a singular verb. But evidently, right, these super Greek scholars, the Greek pagans and Sam, didn't bother to check the other openings, right? So much for thoroughness, boys. To see that, singular verbs are used for multiple human people as well. Greetings from, and then the singular verb, just like what they tried to prove with Jesus and the Father. And it was so upsetting to me, right? I brought in even the Bible's, the Psalm where it says, God break their teeth. You know, I said, Sam, how's it feel to get your teeth smashed in? Spiritual, right? It's all spiritual, Sam, right? Right. But not really, right? Only some things. So either way, some of the things Sam says, he says are spiritual, not spiritual. But either way, I was very upset because this level of lying, you tell me what's more upsetting. Somebody lying to you, like to your face and misleading thousands of people, or you telling them to go F themselves, you know? Yeah, no, I'll take the go F yourself over the lie any day, right? Especially when it misleads 1,000 or more, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands or more people who think because now that Sam and these Greek pagans said that these New Testament letter openings use a singular verb for multiple subjects, so Trinity. Oh, but these same people who have all this knowledge and all this access and who claim to be better than everybody else, or at least more authoritative, they don't even point out that's used for others as well in the same way. And no, you know what it shows, boys? Yeah, it shows a joint address. If you actually knew Greek the way you claim, not just modern Greek, and I don't even know how well you know that, if this is how you actually think and read these texts, you guys couldn't even check. I'm going to get to more of my Greek video coming up, but I've not finalized everything I want to say in it, or whether I'm going to do a live or upload. It's coming though. I just get busy. We've been busy with the Trinity, right? We had to deal with 1 John 5:7 and some things that I think ultimately worked out good, so people have a good understanding, and kind of set the stage for some more church father stuff, you know? We're going to get back to that. Probably another month or two, and I'll either start uploading or doing live, maybe a little both. We'll get back to the Athanasius on the incarnation of the Word. We're going to do more earlier church fathers. And, we just got a lot going on. But, and I deal with a lot of active stuff, right? Sam, I had to deal with Sam and that whole Dr. White thing where I left off. So he didn't feel like we didn't address him, right? I feel like I've addressed Sam completely. I thought about today and I realized, yesterday Sam said he doesn't watch my stuff. If you watch his video from yesterday, like within the first 3 to 5 minutes, he said he does not go to my channel. He does not watch my stuff. The guy, when he's the video with the thumbnail with him and the Asian hat on. So there's no point in me even bothering with Sam, right? Everything he says, like even today, right? Sam earlier, right before this, literally did a video and addressed me again, right? But he's not watching my stuff. So, and that's obvious by what he said. So I'm not going to deal with him. There's no point in me addressing someone again at this point after all I've done that he has not responded to. He literally took like six videos or something, multiple hours each, to respond to a 10-minute video, which he never responded to, right? It's so crazy. So we've done enough for Sam. I'm going to I'm going to revise the playlists. I haven't revised the playlist or even added to them in a long time, as you probably know, but I'm going to. I got to rename them though. So the older Trinity stuff is at the bottom and the newer Trinity stuff, I'll do like Trinity playlist 1, Trinity, because there's a lot, but I'm also going to create a Sam Shamoon cemetery, right? A Sam Shamoon memorial, a Sam Shamoon grave site playlist, like where he died spiritually, Sam. It's all spiritual, Sam. Just like you say. And then, because he's been destroyed, obviously it's over. Nothing left. Especially now that we knocked him out with John 10, where he collapsed Dr. White and himself at the same time, right? Gone. Permanent record now. Prove they both couldn't defeat me, even working together at that debate or since then. And so we'll create a Sam Shamoon gravesite playlist where all the destruction videos will go. So you can just go right there and it'll all be there. So I'll revise the playlist over the next few weeks. I'm going to start moving more into, less, I guess, more or less. We're going to start moving forward into less obvious Trinitarian stuff. I don't think I need to do any live discussion shows anymore. I think I'll upload like my unanswerables number 5, so there's a separate video just with that and the other 4. I talked about that in that last one. And then I will be doing more clips, of course. But live, like multiple hour shows, I don't see the need. I don't see the need to deal with Sam at all because he's not watching me. We already kind of knew this, right? He said this before, but we had to deal with him, right? We when I first came on YouTube, as I was saying earlier, Sam came after me, but it took me a couple years before I started like, engaging him, 2 to 3 years. And then it got hot and heavy, as I said. Then it went really heavy. I did that 8-hour full destruction video of Sam, exposed his lies about the New Testament letter openings, all that stuff, all this horrific deception, really, right? I mean, I don't understand how you could fail there and miss all those other examples, right? So these guys are just, they lie so badly, it becomes disheartening, right? To talk about the Trinity and to do their song and dance. But I had to do it because, again, back when I first came on YouTube, and even before I came on YouTube in like 2019, 2019, I was like the end of 2018, I think, on Facebook and elsewhere, and of course before, but more so like in the recent, like I'd say 10 years, even on Facebook, I had people telling me, oh, you got to debate Sam, you got to do all this stuff. I like, look, I know Sam, I've dealt with Sam a long time. So then again, you get on YouTube, same thing happens, right? Sam's going crazy, we ban him. We're not trying to deal with the Trinity that much, but we end up doing it. So then we engage Sam and starts going insane. And then he challenged me to a debate and I accepted. Or no, remember, that's when that one guy said, Sam emailed you, but you haven't replied. And he was really upset, which was not true, right? So then that's when Sam emailed me and said, okay, let's debate. And then I said, okay. But then Sam ran away. That was the first time he, other than his lying to that guy, that was his first runaway, right? We documented that too, with the emails and the videos. So after Sam said, okay, I'm done with you. I don't want to do this anymore. Do you all remember that? If you've been here 3 years, you remember that. You remember that time. And then when Sam did that, I said, okay, I'm going to delete all my negative Sam videos. Because Sam and I were kind of like being nice to each other as he was not wanting to go forward. I took that as a good sign. See, everybody's looking at like these last, no, you don't understand what happened here, or even way before, but just dealing with the whole recent stuff from YouTube. I deleted that original 8+ hour video that's back up now. There's no point deleting it now because he's crazy. And then I deleted like 4, I think 3 or 4, maybe 3. And then I had a 4th one ready, but I deleted it. Commentary on Sam's demon possession videos. Remember those? Those were pretty funny. And they were all true, right? They were all based on what he was actually doing, right? As crazy as it was. So I deleted all those. And I deleted a bunch of other stuff that I did on Sam. Just because I thought, okay, I won. I pushed the issues with him. He wanted to debate. I caught him lying to this guy who also caught him lying because he didn't have the email. Then he sends the email. I said, okay, fine, let's do it. He doesn't want to do it. So I figured, I saw that as, hey, then this guy's, he's done, right? I'll just let it go. I don't rub it in unless, I will now because they're over the top. I'm going back though. Okay, this is step kind of 1 from the recent. So then for there, right? Remember Pink Moon? Everybody. You all remember this. So I deleted all of that. And then for a year, literally it was about a whole calendar year, I didn't even bring up Sam, I don't think, except for like just maybe a handful of offhanded references. Nothing at all. You all remember this, right? And then I upload a 10-minute video from my about Michael and the angel of the Lord and Zechariah and Jude, using the same expression for the same meaning, all that stuff. 10-minute video from a video that I had done before Sam and I, walked away from each other. And when he saw that video, remember, he went insane. Yes, he did. He went crazy. And he did, like I said earlier, 4 or 5, I think even 6 parts. Sam and his parts. Sam and his inches. But anyway, he did like 4, 5, 6 parts, multiple hours each, about all the reasons why Michael isn't the angel of the Lord, but without ever addressing my actual arguments from that 10-minute video, right? He just wanted to throw up so much dust that no one would ever remember the actual points. That's what he does. That's what they love to do. That's why everybody ends up talking about the same things in cyclical manner. They're very good at just keeping you arguing, right? So anyway, he went insane, huh? He went crazy on that video, that 10-minute video I upload. Like I'm not allowed to upload a video on my beliefs, especially when he took it like personal in some way. It was so weird, huh? Crazy. So then he went crazy again. And I was going to try to have a normal, okay, Sam, you want to do this again? Then let's do you didn't want to debate, so fine. You do your videos, I'll do mine, and let's see what happens. He started going bananas, insane. Then I started responding to him. He went even more insane. And then I went on his show, right? I did all these videos. I went back into the whole mode. And then eventually I went on his show live. And this freak, other than the first 2 minutes, couldn't handle it. Insulted me 5 times in 8 minutes and kicked me off while I was talking. And after he'd interrupted me multiple times, and William, and after I had said, hey, if you're not nicer to me, I'm going to leave, right? This is ridiculous. He insulted me several times at that point. Not answering me, right? I'm answering him is crazy. I've done every single thing you can think of for this guy to try to engage for whatever purpose may come, right? Or for whatever good can come of it. And for me, it was more about shutting him up. Everyone kept saying when I came on YouTube, yeah, Sam, you haven't answered Sam. Maybe it was Sam. All the minions. Remember the Shamunian cultists? Remember how insane? Remember the Collapsagon? I still haven't uploaded that one yet. Again, that's one of the ones I deleted. Where I literally collapsed Sam. And I said, look, just any arguments in the future, we didn't want to deal with them then either. Put them right here and I'll deal with them here. But he kept going insane. He kept putting up these crazy thumbnails, talking crazy. I tried to kind of he even made me a mod. I was actually, while he's attacking me and being mean, but I'm used to it, I was being nice to him in his comments. And, for like several weeks, he was letting me comment, and I was commenting here and there as he was trying to do his videos on Jump 5 and all that stuff, remember? And then he eventually went insane again. And I went on his show, right? He started bad-mouthing me and all that stuff. So there's nothing else I can do with Sam. I've tried everything. I've been dealing with him for over 30 years. He's not a rational person, So I just don't feel I need to do anything. I'm not even going to listen to Sam anymore. I'm probably going to just unsubscribe from him. Because if I'm not focused on you, right? Obviously, I've been focused on Sam, and I've been listening to Sam, and I've been responding to Sam, right? Well, I'm not going to do that forever, especially if someone's not even watching. He admitted it yesterday, and then he's right back to talking about me today, but he's not even watching me. So what's the point? Why should I have to he just wants to waste my time, right? He just wants me to repeat myself, which I've done multiple times already. I'm not doing it again. But I don't have to. If there's not something new here, and you're admitting you're not even responding to me, well, then I'm not even going to take the time to listen to you. because there's no point. I'm wasting my time on someone who isn't engaging. You understand? He doesn't care. He doesn't care what I say. So what's the point? And his other minions don't care. They only care what he says. These lies. He says the same thing God Logic says on Hebrews 11:26. He's crazy. These guys are insane, right? The whole praying, the Father praying to the Son. These guys are blaspheming beyond capacity and in some of the strangest ways, right? Some really bad attempts to interpret the Bible, if you ask me. Both of them. The whole Hebrews 1 thing, the who's talking and the 10 through 12, but the whole who's talking in all those verses, 6 through 12, they're crazy. They just don't understand the uses of lege and other terms that are just used to connect quotes, that are used to prove that he's become better than the angels. He blew that again today because he doesn't listen to me, right? It's just ridiculous. So I'm not going to deal with Sam anymore. If you guys want to have fun, I will create the playlist. And I do have he will come up, there's not a ban on Sam, but there's nothing relevant anymore. I don't think so. I'm not aware of anything. He's just repeating himself and he's not listening. And I don't have the time to just keep getting frustrated with people like that, right? I let it happen. I knew, right? Remember, after he went insane, one last thing on this whole history thing, he went insane, and then we're going to move on into praise, but I wanted to kind of summarize this real quick, because I know Sam's going nuts, and I'm not going to get into it anymore right now. Because when he went nuts before, right, I told you guys, I said, I deleted all these videos. I didn't talk about this guy for a year. We didn't even want to deal with him. We were doing our whole commentary series on Angels of Jah, right? We were trying to just study the Bible, do our Christian Witnesses of Jah live discussion shows, and kind of just, do what we had to do spiritually. And we didn't want to deal with Sam. It was too much. It was too whacked out, But then when he did that, right, when he went insane again, after I had deleted all that stuff and after he had backed out the first time, I told you guys, I said, we're going to have to fight. We're going to have to fight this time because Sam will not stop and he's deceiving a lot of people. And we're just growing. It's like in the Bible, right? When the Israelites were just leaving to being taken out of Egypt at their weakest moment, Amalek comes and attacks them from the rear, right? The Bible says he didn't listen to the fear of Yahweh. That angered Michael, right? The angel of Yahweh. So he destroyed Amalek. Of course, it was Yahweh's will, but he used, right? It was still, they're both very angry because Amalek did not listen to the fear of Yahweh and he took advantage of them in a weakened state. So Michael and Yahweh fought and destroyed Amalek and the spirit demon. They were destroyed, right? You will die like men. They knew what that meant. Amalek was dead. So they had to fight, right? They had to fight going into the promised land because everyone was hostile to them. And the spirit sons of God appointed over the nations felt that they had leverage over Michael and these people of Jah. So they were not good to them. But that's why Yahweh gave them the spirit and the power to fight and to conquer and to defeat them where they showed hope and faith and did the right things. So in the same way, too, when Jesus was born into heaven, right? Revelation 12, the dragon was there waiting to devour the child, the newly born king. And what happened? Michael had to fight again, didn't he? He had to fight again because the dragon was there. At the time, the Messiah had been resurrected as firstborn from the dead and made king. What he was no longer, so it made him insane, and he went and attacked the new king. And the new king fought back because he had to save his kingdom. Just like on earth. So we had to fight. We had to fight because we are being born out of other groups who have done some good, but who have failed But through it all, the Bible has prevailed. And that's what everyone who's trying to do what's right will use and not be confused by what is not written. Excuse me. So you may say to me, well, Greg, the Bible also says in the New Testament, a slave of the Lord does not need to fight, right? Excuse me. You may say that. You may think that. Someone may tell you that. Hey, Greg, that's pretty interesting, this whole fighting thing you're talking about. Doesn't it say a slave of the Lord doesn't need to fight? It doesn't say a slave of the Lord won't fight. But let me ask you this. Those of you who might think or say that or have that said to you, especially in light of what I just said, does not the same New Testament tell us that we have a sword of truth? That we have a shield of faith? That you have a breastplate of righteousness and a helmet of salvation and feet armored with the good news? That sounds like someone who's ready to fight to me. You see, not everybody knows the New Testament as well as they think they do. Yes, a slave of the Lord does not need to fight. Did Jesus need to fight? No, but he could have, right? He could have appealed to the Father and got 12 legions of angels. He could have had Peter and the others there continue to strike with their swords. That wasn't the purpose. That wasn't his mission. But he let that happen to show you that if it was his mission, right? Oh yeah, no, he can do that, no problem. So if the master wants people to know that he can easily summon angels to wipe you out or to save him, or that he has servants with weapons that will physically maim you if you're not careful, I think people do need to be aware of the danger they face if they want to try to cause us damage. Right. There is a point where we don't fight back, of course. We're not here to create civil unrest or create a spectacle and fight when we can't win, right? If we're surrounded like Jesus was, that's not always a fight you can win. So when you're faithful to the Lord, you don't need to fight. Whether you come out of that alive or you die, you're all right? You're the Lord. And then he's going to what? He's going to take care of you, alive or dead. And then he's going to what? You're going to punish them, right? The people who took authority over his slave. Who do you think's going to get the worst of that trade, right? Yeah, I would hate to be the people who damage the servants of the master. That's for sure. So that would be how I would answer. That's how you should answer. Does not the Bible describe armor and weapons for fighting? That we're fighting things that aren't flesh and blood. We're fighting all these spiritual powers behind them. So what does that tell you? That there's more going on, right? Of course, we're not here to run around and beat people up unless they're attacking us, right? But we've got a lot of bullies on here, don't we? We've got a lot of people on these YouTube channels and things that like to think they're big tough guys. Sam has been the main one acting like Mr. Tough Guy. And then he gets Big William in here to act like a tough guy. And then the demonized pastor's a tough guy, right? When none of them are tough guys, right? They're supposed to be good guys, teaching the truth and not attacking people or trying to take their money and damage their family. Right? Are you kidding me? You're hosting them on your channel? You ever did? Yeah, I've got some pretty good clips and videos over the last several years of a lot of people who've hosted a lot of bad people. Either way, we've got a lot of people who do these things. So when we had to deal with Sam and he wouldn't leave us alone and he kept disrupting us, kept sending the Shumanian cultists, right? They don't really come anymore, right? Because we defeated him. Yeah, he still does his stupid lying, but he's defeated. He doesn't have anything left. And he knows we know it. And there's no way he's going to catch up, right? How is he going to catch up? He can barely watch a 10-minute video. And he's admitted he doesn't even watch any of my stuff. So there's no catching up, right? There's just him repeating videos so that he can feel like he's responding. Because he knows, Sam knows, most people don't care. He knows that. And he's right. That's why they keep arguing about the same things over and over again. So Sam knows, well, if they just see me title something or say I respond or repeat my same arguments that I haven't heard Greg respond because I don't listen to his videos, they won't care. He's probably right most of the time, unfortunately. But see, I know that as well. So I don't let it bother me. Once I reach a point where I'm satisfied, now with Sam, it took a long time because his antics, right? His trickiness. Well, he lies. He literally deceived us all that first time when he backed out. He lied to that one guy. And then when he tried to email and get a debate going, he backs out. We try to be friendly about it. Delete videos. Don't talk about him. He can't handle it. Goes insane. Then he starts lying about me, lying about my group. For what? I thought you're supposed to be this big Catholic religion. Well, you don't have anything to do? No, because he sees me as a threat. He sees me as a threat. They all do, because they know that with Watchtower fading, we are going to be some of the few left who are credibly presenting a non-Trinitarian doctrine. And that isn't just limited to Unitarianism, right? We're not Unitarian in terms of pre-existence, right? So they don't like that, right? Because they know that's closer to home. Dragon doesn't like that. Sam doesn't like that. So I did what I had to, and was not easy. And it required dealing with Sam on his level, just like it required the Israelites to deal with Amalek and others on their level in ways that hopefully, well, that it's just not always pleasant. Perverts. He shouldn't be up here, right? It's the Protestants, the Catholics, and the ortho-pagans, all of them, who made Sam what he is, a disruptive, blasphemous person. So he attacked us. We fought back. And we tried our best to work things out with him. They wouldn't have it. He wouldn't have it. And that's just all there is to it. I think the rest is history. I don't see any reason to deal with Sam anymore. I'll reference him here and there as he becomes relevant. He's done a lot, so he's not irrelevant overall. That's why we dealt with him, right? But once you've dealt with someone, like I just explained, I don't see any reason to keep repeating myself. Let him repeat himself, right? Till I hear something new or he convinces me he's actually listening to me when he just yesterday said he's not. I'm not going to bother with him. Don't waste my time with Sam anymore. Not until he answers what I've already done. Exactly, Czar, Zechariah, everything. None of that, right? He avoids all of it. 114, all of it. It's terrible. So we did what we had to. And whether you agree with all the things I said and how I dealt with Sam, that's your opinion. That's your interpretation, at best, of certain texts that aren't explicit in terms of things that I chose to say because it's Sam. He's cost me a lot of time and aggravation. He's defamed my God and my religion. I could go on and on, But I'm confident that people understand that dealing with Sam is a different type of situation. And anyone who doesn't think so, well, then you can explain why you let Sam say all the things he said and did what he did. And if you didn't, well, I want to see that. I want to see what you said to Sam before he said anything to you you didn't like. You can't show that to me? Don't waste my time. But at the same time, I don't want to keep dealing with, that's not who I am or who I want to be. I will be. Just like if I see a child molester, yes, I will stop being a nice, friendly person for a moment. Take care of business. We have an illegal situation with someone being victimized. I'm sorry. What am I supposed to do? Be friendly? I don't think so. So when we deal with wolves, we deal with wolves as a wolf, right? Until they're out of here. And it's not always an easy call because they're very tricky, right? We're dealing with Satan here and his minions. Oh, yes, we are. And Sam is number one in that department. All right. So I feel I did my job with Sam. I probably went further than I needed to, or many of you thought I needed to. But for me, it's more about getting to Sam here, you understand? So the doctrinal things, yes, that had to be done. I had to be complete and thorough and wipe him out. But you got to get to Sam here also, okay? If you're going to deal with him, you've got to bring him down a little, right? And to do that, you just deal with the truth, okay? Things that really hurt him. He doesn't work, right? What does the Bible say? See, I do that on purpose. I don't want him feeling good attacking me and doing these videos all the time and wasting my time. I want it to wear on him, you understand? It should. He shouldn't be doing this. So I purposely attack him in every weak spot I can that I think is appropriate until he stops. And I believe it worked, at least to a point. He's not even listening to me anymore. That to me is, it's over. But as you can see, he still can't stop, right? But as long as it's obvious, it's over. And if you're not listening to me, it's over. That's fine. And I've addressed all his stuff, right? We addressed all his things all the way back to the debate from 1 Corinthians to John 10, everything, right? So there's nothing really left that's unique to Sam or special to his whole package of lies, right? Everyone wanted me to deal with him when I came on YouTube. Done. So I'm going to take that victory. I'm going to enjoy it. Sam is not an easy person to deal with. I went all the way with him in every way possible, including appear on his show. And he showed exactly what he's about, okay? So, and I've documented the full destruction of his arguments. So I think we can comfortably move on now from him. I don't care what he says or does. I'm not even going to listen to him. He said yesterday he doesn't listen to me. I'm no longer listening to him. I don't need to. So if there's anything like new out there, and again, maybe occasionally I do have some stuff, the Greek video I do. I have a couple videos I just haven't finished yet. So again, I'm not going to self-impose ban on me speaking to say. I'll say what I want, right? Like with a demon. If you're a pervert and a liar in the religious community and you're in my sphere, you come into my sphere, well, what do you expect me to do? No, we're not going to be nice to people who lie and who act like dishonest people or who put all this other stuff ahead of just being honest with people, right? And if that takes being a little more honest than people are used to, well, you know, that's just life. I mean, you get to know people better, and we spend a lot of time with very aggressive persons, like I said, on hot issues. And to document it the way we did just took a unique level of effort, emotion, and time. I'm confident, though, it shows very clearly we were right the whole time. And he's a liar. So I'll create that playlist for all the Sam stuff and everything. I'll redo the other playlist, make it a little easier for you guys to find some of the recent stuff. I'll try to get that done in the next week or so. I'm really busy behind a lot of stuff, emails, and do the best I can. But as you can see, we're dealing with stuff from other people, right? So I had to deal with that. And that's all, you know, we just have to try to do the best we can with all the different issues, you know, all these, going back to all these older texts. And we're going to get more into the fathers and stuff, but I'm going to take at least a month or so, okay? Let's take like a month or two And, maybe I'll do an upload here and there. But as far as like live shows, I think we need a little detox, I think we need a little detox from this aggressive Trinitarian insanity and people who are crazy, We take a month or two in detox and we just do like a one live show every week. Like we'll do a praise stream. I introduced this one to talk about it because I wanted to explain why I'm moving on from Sam. I ain't going to listen to him anymore. Whereas before, yes, I was, because I'm dealing with him. Not anymore. I'm done. So let's do that. Let's detox over a month or two. Let's just let it take its natural course. We'll do a regular live show once a week so that you can plan, right? And maybe if you want to invite people, we're not going to get involved in the levels that are more difficult for people in general to appreciate. You kind of have to know what's going on and be involved to understand. So we're going to move beyond that. Let's take a month or two and just try to let that go or simmer down in a way where we can focus on other things more clearly and appreciate Jah and the Bible and the Master and how we can kind of just be productive people, right? I think we can learn a lot from each other in other ways and benefit by just being encouraging, talking about subjects and like last week. Remember I think it was last show. Was it last week or the week before? I might have skipped a week on the praise stream. I think I did skip one. Anyway, I'm going to do a clip from it coming up. But the last praise stream we did, it wasn't last weekend, it was the weekend before, but it's the last praise stream. This is our third one. It was kind of a new thing we're doing. But the second one, there was a part of that where we talked about pain and suffering. We're talking about pain and suffering with humans and animals. And that was, I thought, a really good discussion. So I'm going to clip that and put it up in a day or two. And then, we'll just keep kind of dwelling in that direction or in non-conflicting directions. There's always going to be something, people don't agree about. But again, I think we can move away from the insane level, right? Unfortunately, the insane level was the top level in that whole discussion. So we didn't have a choice. Okay. So let's see. We'll try to talk about other things. I'm going to bring something up here. I'm going to show you guys. But first, let's read a text together. Let's praise Jah, and then I'll say hi to everybody. Let's do some praising. So now I've explained kind of where I'm transitioning away from what we discussed in that regard with Sam and the whole insanity. I think we're done. I'm done with Sam. It's over. So I'm moving on. And let's see what we got here. Let's go to... Unfortunately, we have to use a Bible that doesn't use the divine name. Isn't that terrible? You know what? You see, people ask me, they say, what Bible do you recommend? And there are a couple good Bibles in general, like just the general translation I think is good. I would put the Revised Standard and the New Revised Standard in those categories. But it doesn't use the divine name, right? You see, everyone says NW, people ask me this question. It's the NWT, right? Until we get a new one out, we're done. The NWT really is the best because it has the divine name. It doesn't give all those Trinitarian readings, and it does so correctly, right? almost every time, if not every time, as we've been known to discuss. So the few things or the whatever things in the NWT may not be great or that it gets wrong, I don't care, right? There's nothing that's more important to me than the divine name and the identity of God and his son. That's number one and number two. And the golden rule is not messed up in the NWT. So I'm sorry. I can figure out probably anything else where the NWT isn't correct. Things like house to house or whatever. In homes, there's always some things like that. I'll take a Bible that gets the divine name right most of the time, far more than other Bibles, and the identities of God and Jesus over anything. Sorry, boys. So don't at all hesitate to use the New World Translation. Remember, everyone, while the Watchtower is gone today, right? They've collapsed. That doesn't mean everybody in the Watchtower is bad or not qualified in some ways with regard to biblical interpretation, the language. There are many very intelligent Watchtower people. Oh, yes, there are. And when I was there, I knew many of them, if not most of them, right? We had our own group and thing where we talked regularly and met annually. So, right, and before us, you had all kinds of people. And people like Franz and Genghis and others, these were very serious Bible people. Yes, they got the prophecy stuff wrong. They got the chronology wrong. But that doesn't mean they weren't absolutely, into the Bible and understood the Bible and its languages and its history. There have been a lot of very competent people in the history of the Watchtower, just like with almost any other religious group. So you should be able to see that at different points in Watchtower's history, there are things of value. Every single thing, just because they failed in these prophecies, and of course they're doing everything they can to keep themselves in power with this false chronology, that doesn't mean the people who were there, who were writing about these other things related to God, his name, identities, and they were focused on those things, were just the same, right? So try to see that there's a difference between being able to correctly present what the Bible says and being able to interpret what it means, right? And usually it's by just reading what it says, right? Unless there's something very prophetic or figurative there that you then need to interpret based on the best available evidence. But I think a lot of people forget that. They think, well, if the Watchtower's lying to them today or false in these ways, and they are, that everything is bad. No, absolutely not right. If you thought of the history of these different groups, Catholic, Protestant, Orthodox, that have prepared Bible translations for their religions, have you looked at their histories? Well, they're way worse than Watchtower, right? Almost all of them, except for more recent groups. But in many ways, many of them were much worse than Watchtower has been in terms of war, killing, all these things, right? Persecution of people with different views, right? If you think Watchtower's bad, no. Yes, but no. They are nowhere near the originators of that kind of persecution. They do break up families, though. It's unfortunate, right? Because I do recommend the New World Translation. I think it will help you in these ways. But with the divine name and proper identity. But they're keeping people from, they break up families. The biggest problem I have with Watchtower right now, it's similar to these other groups though, right? But it's more prominent with Watchtower because Watchtower's problems are prophetic and chronological, related to the governing body and how they understand these things. These other groups are using things like the Trinity and others to condemn people and maybe even damn it, Sam will break up families, right? He attacked Jay Dyer in his marriage most recently, right? He's always been doing that. Always. Sam does that. Sam has done many bad things. So they do this. But Watchtower, right? That's over like the Trinity, though. And that's still not good. But Sam's thinking that's God and all that. Watchtower people will break up families, not talk to you, over their unique interpretations of chronology and prophecy that they've changed many times and that don't appear to be correct right now. Just remember, that's a huge difference, right? They're literally saying, if you don't, their interpretation is so awesome, right? They are so confident in their interpretation of these end time events. If you don't believe them, your family shouldn't talk to you, right? Isn't that crazy? Anyway, when it comes to the divine name, you got to qualify it, Watchtower, because you guys have gone crazy. It's not, well, see, I'm not going to feel sorry for anyone. I've gone through all this. I've been all alone and don't have many now, but it's growing. And the fact is, I don't need more than one. And if I'm just one, I'm going to do what's right. I'm not going to just collapse because a bunch of liars are too afraid to stand up for the truth. No, I'll just do that myself if I have to. In any case, Psalm 97, one we've referenced recently. Let's just read it together. Originally, verse 1, Jehovah himself has become king. Let the earth be joyful. Let the many islands rejoice. Clouds and thick gloom are all around him. Righteousness and judgment are established, the established place of his throne. Before him a fire goes, and it consumes his adversaries all around. His lightnings lighted up the productive land. The earth saw and came to be in severe pains. The mountains themselves proceeded to melt just like wax on account of Jehovah, on account of the Lord of the whole earth. The heavens have told forth his righteousness, and all the peoples have seen his glory. Let all those serving any carved image be ashamed. Those who are making their boast in valueless gods. Bow down to him, all you gods. Zion heard and began to rejoice, and the dependent towns of Judah began to be joyful by reason of your judicial decisions, O Jehovah. Verse 9, for you, O Jehovah, are the most high over all the earth. You are very high in your ascent over all other gods. Oh, there's a use of other in brackets. I wonder why they never bring that up, right? Because, Jehovah's identified as God, right? He's God in this whole account, of course, in several places, including right there in verse Psalm 98, verse 3. So other isn't really necessary, is it? But it isn't wrong. And it's the same with Colossians 1:15. Firstborn makes it clear he's not one of the things created through him. Game over. We already know this, though. But it's a similar use, all plus other in brackets, NWT. No one ever complains about it. You are very high in your ascent over all gods, all other gods, not including himself. Verse 10, O you lovers of Jehovah, hate what is bad. Hate what is bad. So, we're supposed to hate what is bad, right? Well, we do love our enemies and pray for those who persecute us without knowing what they're doing. But the Pharisees and the scribes and the Sadducees who know what they're doing, they're bad. That's why Jesus felt the way he did about them. And why Jehovah spoke about many in the Old Testament in the ways that he did. He's guarding the souls of his loyal ones. Out of the hand of the wicked ones, he delivers them. Remember, too, whoever Jehovah loves, he disciplines. You think discipline is pleasant? What kind of discipline you think he'd give Sam? Sam should be thankful he got me first, right? That's a warning to you, Sam. You were out of control, my friend, and somebody needed to stop you and bring you down. We cannot have this unrestrained blasphemy, not without a response like we've provided. Light itself has flashed up for the righteous ones, and rejoicing even for the ones upright in heart. Verse 12, rejoice in Jehovah, O you righteous ones, and give thanks to his holy memorial. Sing to Jehovah a new song. Let's read Psalm 90. I'm pumped up. I'm praising. Let's praise. Right? Get it. Oh, let's go. Verse 1, sing to Jehovah a new song, for wonderful are the things that he has done. His right hand, even his holy arm, Everett, are you listening? Has gained salvation for him. Verse 2, Jehovah has made his salvation known. In the eyes of the nations, he has revealed his righteousness. Verse 3, he has remembered his loving kindness and his faithfulness to the house of Israel. All the ends of the earth have seen the salvation by our God. Verse 4, shout in triumph to Jehovah, all you people of the earth. Be cheerful and cry out joyfully and make melody. Make melody to Jehovah with the harp and the voice of melody. With the trumpets and the sound of the horn, shout in triumph before the King, Jehovah, Jah. Let the sea thunder and that which fills it, the productive land and those dwelling in it. Let the rivers themselves clap their hands. All together, let the very mountains cry out joyfully. Before Jah, for he has come to judge the earth. He will judge the productive land with righteousness and the peoples with uprightness. 99, Jehovah himself has become king. Let the peoples be agitated. He's sitting upon the cherubs. Let the earth quiver. Verse 2, Psalm 99, Jehovah is great in Zion, and he is high over all the peoples. Let them laud your name. Great and fear-inspiring, holy it is. Verse 4, with the strength of a king, judgment he has loved. You yourself have firmly established righteousness. Judgment and righteousness in Jacob are what you yourself have effected. Exalt Jehovah our God and bow down yourselves at his footstool. He is holy. Moses and Aaron were among his priests, and Samuel was among those calling upon his name. They were calling to Jah, and he himself kept answering them. Verse 7, in the pillar of cloud, he continued speaking with them, right? And we already know we have never heard the Father's voice. We've never seen the Father. We've never seen God. He's God. But he sent his angel. He makes his angels spirits, flames of fire. All his angels are ministering spirits. Hebrews 1, 7, 14. Psalm 104, game over. In the pillar of cloud, he continued to speak with them. They kept his reminders, regulation that he gave them. You can also see our Angels of Jah series on Genesis and Exodus for more on these events and related events. Verse 8, O Jehovah our God, you yourself answered them. A God granting pardon you proved to be to them, and executing vengeance against their notorious deeds. Verse 9, exalt Jehovah our God and bow down yourselves at his holy mountain. For Jehovah, Jah, our God, is holy. Oh, that felt good. That was good. That helped me to detoxify a little. I feel like I've been purged. I had a little purging right there. I feel light. I feel healthier already, just letting myself praise. And then after we brought up the very toxic thing we were dealing with, now that we get this praising, that's good. Let's say hi to everybody. Ooh, what's going on here? We have all these people. Betsy, so nice to see you. Brandon, I think I did say hi to both of you early on. Then we start kind of encapsulating the whole transition away from Toxic Sam, who doesn't watch even what I say anymore, so who cares what he says. And we're moving on. George, good to see you. George, you had a dream and I was visiting your town. You know, I've been thinking of doing traveling. That's interesting, George. We'll have to see where you live. I need to get out and see more of you people. All these different people here. We have the same beliefs, basically, and we want to help each other grow. So who knows, George? You just clue me in on don't do it publicly, right? We don't want, but maybe we'll figure out where you are. I got to do some traveling, right? I got to get out. I got to get out and visit some fellow praisers here and just get to know people. Spend some time out and about visiting different people and kind of just bonding a little bit more with others and talking. I think that'd be a great thing to do. Unitarian Pre-Existent Subordinationist, UPS, good to see you. Czar and Bankhead. We got Mr. Deckard and Jacobson. Richard. What is it I prefer about the NRSV? It just seems a little better, expresses things more literally, but in a whoever the translator, I think Metzger was involved, but whoever was ultimately responsible for the final wording, it just seemed to me like they really understood what the text was saying. When I compare my translations with a lot of these others, there's radical. I mean, you can tell really quickly who's trying to stay close to the wording of the language, Greek or Hebrew or Aramaic. And you can tell who's basically thinks they know what it means. And they're going to express it the best way they know how, regardless of whether its wording is closely follows the text. You see what I'm saying? So the New World Translation is known to be what they often call it slavishly literal, like woodenly literal. And I think it does in many ways try to be that, but for a good reason. I think it's trying to at least tell you what it literally is saying, but in a way that makes as much sense as possible without going, in their view, too far beyond the wording. I think sometimes they don't quite make it clear enough, New World Translation, when they try to be as close to the wording, but be conversational or expressively appropriate in the language they're translating into. I think the New Revised Standard does a better job. I think it just handles verses like Titus 2:13 and other verses correctly. And so when I see that in a Trinitarian translation, otherwise Trinitarian translation, I know they're not just following a prescripted understanding of, say, a text based on a grammatical rule. They're actually looking at the text, maybe considering the grammatical rule they've heard about, or they might otherwise use for non-proper names or special terms like God, Jesus Christ, or Lord, or with a proper name attached. So that's good. It tells me they're looking at what the text is saying more than anything else. And then the actual way they say it, I find more often than not, Richard, it's I think a little better than the New World Translation, but they don't use the divine name. The New Revised Standard used the divine name, especially in New Testament quotations of the Old where it occurs. It would be better than the New World Translation, I think. I mean, obviously we'd have John 1:1 and stuff, but so I don't know. Overall wording, though, right? The doctrinal stuff aside, I think the Revised Standard also, I just think they're better. They're pretty close to each other. And I think they're as close to the actual text and one of the better expressive translations you're going to find. I think you can rely on it more because it's basically telling you what it really says in good English. Let's see what else we have here. What was I getting? I was talking about something else too. Yeah, we need more. I'm doing what I can. It takes a long time, and this has to be done right, and it's not easy. The thing is, though, again, how much do we really need to know? In my own view, right? So we have the three things. Well, if you know those, well, I think we have more than we need. I mean, things like Proverbs, Jesus' teachings, those, then, of course, letters of Paul. There are a lot of things that are just very helpful in daily life, teach you wisdom, divine wisdom and knowledge, practical understanding, that really we should be focusing on more than the Trinity, Definitely need to balance it out more. I just think people are so caught up in these apologetics things, and I think arguing is just the thing that's easy to do and that provides the most satisfaction. There's kind of an immediate payoff. You win or you don't. Usually you think you win. There's something there. Whereas learning something and applying it in your life and encountering situations where you use it, that's a development, right? It's not as quickly usable as, maybe it is, just as situations involving Trinitarians, right? They're so easy to go and find and engage in. I think it just keeps people active in religious things, Trinity and that stuff. And I think they get a sense of being spiritual from that motivates them. I don't know that sometimes I think it's the arguing. I think some people just like to argue, like Sam, and or they get a sense of satisfaction. Their insecurities are satisfied, like Sam. A lot of people, though. Other people, I think, really just feel more spiritual when they're engaging people and presenting their beliefs, even if it's an argument. I'm not like that. I only do what I feel I have to do to keep people from being deceived or, having my own view looked down upon incorrectly, right? So like when Sam was lying about our group, that kind of stuff like that motivates me. Keeping people from being deceived, maybe it came from watching all that. And I always wanted to just keep being a spiritual person in that group, but I just couldn't handle it anymore. You get to points where they're trying to get you to accept things you can't justify. And then they don't want to be around you anymore. And you're like, well, wait a minute. I thought you cared about the truth, right? Is this the truth? No. So to me, that's the most important thing. It comes at a price. I think the more I think about it and experience life, that people who really stand up for what's right it comes at a price. This world of lies and wickedness, it does not make it easy to cultivate Jah qualities. It cultivates hate. It cultivates anger. It cultivates division. That's why you see the Catholics and others, right? The Ortho-Pagans and the Protestants, they go after the Muslims, the Jews, everybody. We have disagreements with the Muslims and the Jews, right? But we don't go after them. We're supposed to be trying to reason with them and either come to some point where we mutually disagree, or maybe we can, they're trying to recruit us. We try to recruit them. We're trying to persuade each other, These other guys like Sam, they're not trying to do that. They're just trying to attack and belittle and annihilate. And we get into that with them a little because they already hate us and think we're heretics and condemned, right? So there's nothing to gain by being friendly with them. They're just going to be wolves and attack us like they always do. Like Sam did when we first went that direction with him. Like I said earlier, deleted videos, didn't talk about him for a year. And what good did that do us? Nothing, right? Nothing at all, because we weren't dealing with someone who was a Christian, was trying to make things better, right? You could be someone who's absolutely willing to work with another person with totally different views. But if they're not, what are you going to do? Well, if you keep trying to work with them and they absolutely don't want to work with you, eventually you're going to lose because they're not trying to work with you and you're trying to work with them. So they're going to betray you. There's no reason they wouldn't. It's a one-way street. And Sam lies a lot, right? He pretends a lot. He's a liar. That's how the dragon is, right? That's what he does all the time. He appears as an angel of light. Most of the time, if you're dealing with the dragon or an agent of the dragon, they're not being like openly mean or hostile. No, they look at like the people we've been talking about, whether it's Watchtower or the cat. Like if you set aside Sam, right, or William, and you look at like the priest or the Pope, and or you look at Watchtower, right, and other people, right, they love to be nice. You just have to believe their lies. They'll be so nice to you, oh, you won't believe it, right? You'll think these are the best people ever. There's no way they can't be from God. Oh, but they're lying, so they can't be from God, right? So it has nothing to do with being nice. If it does, you could be in trouble, right? He who is from God speaks the sayings of God. That's why they don't listen, because they're not from God. You know whose words those are, right? Jesus. So it's important, right? So we get these people, right? They'll be nice all day long. You know, the Watchtower people are some of the nicest people on the planet. You go into their meetings, and they see you, and that you won't believe how nice they're going to be to you. It'll be like almost proof that they're from God to you. That's how nice they'll be. Oh, but if you don't agree with them, so much for being nice, right? Maybe if you're a new person, they'll work with you a little, but eventually, right? No. It's all to get you to agree with them. Once you don't agree with them, you are not going to be treated the same way. But to people who are just normal, like themselves, like I try to be, you're not going to see any difference along the way. Because I'm not pretending, right? I try not to anyway. So there's never going to be a change. I mean, unless I'm dealing like if we're dealing with other people, then yeah, I'm going to react to whatever situation. But we're trying to move up beyond that. I'm talking about like whether you agree with me on something that's not one of the three things, right? I'm not going to just stop being the same way I am to you. I'll deal with the evidence. We'll deal with the evidence. If we don't agree, we don't agree. But 1, 2, and 3, yeah, we're good. Okay, good. Go do what you got to do. So I'm not going to adjust just because you don't agree with me on some things, you see. And I think that's important. I think it's an important quality because then this super nice thing, that's easy. I could do that. I could just be a super nice guy and never, but I'm not trying to get followers. I'm not trying to get your money, right? I'm just trying to help you. I'm just trying to teach truth and praise Jah so that when I appear before him and the Son, they say, good job. And I'm going to say, okay, you're talking about the time when I took down Pagan Sam? Yes, that's exactly what we're talking about. Okay, yes. I felt pretty good about that. So, okay, I'm glad. Right? It makes me feel good. Right? Because there's no doubt in my mind that I was standing up for Dad, right? I could not handle someone being a pervert and lying like that the way he was. And I could not, just like I had to stand up for my beliefs when I was in Watchtower and they kept attacking us. I don't know. Guess it's just something people do. Either way, I definitely don't like doing that stuff. I wish Sam was a more normal person, right? It'd be a lot easier for everybody. But I don't get, it's not, right? I'm not the one who dialed Sam up like that. I'm not the one who promoted him and made him into this spectacle and then forced everybody to go deal with him or you're a coward, right? That's essentially what they did for over a decade. Oh, go to deal with Sam. Deal with Sam. What about Sam? You know, right? Okay, you got what you wanted. Now we're going to continue to grow and move on, and you guys can stay with Sam, right? We're going to praise Jah. I'm going to bring up more. I need another cleansing. It's time for a cleansing. Let me bring up another psalm. I had to talk about Sam again. That's it, man. I need to be cleansed. Read Psalm 100 with me, please. It's like a really short psalm, only 5 verses, but I got a little bit toxic there by reference of Sam. Verse 1, shout in triumph to Jehovah, all you people of the earth. Serve Jehovah with rejoicing. Come in before him with a joyful cry. Verse 3, know that Jehovah is God, one God the Father, right? It is he that made us and not we ourselves. We are his people and the sheep of his pasturage. Come into his gates with thanksgiving, into his courtyards with praise. Praising Jah. Give thanks to him, bless his name. That's why we use the New World Translation. No, we don't agree with everything Watchtower says or does, but we love God's name. That's why many of you probably went to the Watchtower, right? That's why I stayed there and thought it was the truth. A lot of things that were good there with Watchtower because they are the truth. They just ended up teaching things and doing things that weren't. And so we have to keep going with the things that are, right? Is that not our obligation? Isn't that why we went to the Watchtower in the first place or stayed there or thought it was the truth? It was for me, like I just said. So I'm going to keep doing the things I believe are true for the right reasons, and I'm going to stop promoting the things that I think are incorrect, whether that's the Watchtower or Sam, especially when he's not even listening to me. Verse 5, for Jehovah is good. His loving kindness is to time indefinite, and his faithfulness to generation after generation. Let's do one more. I need a little bit more out. I'm almost there. Verse 1, Psalm 101, about loving kindness and judgment I will sing. To you, O Jehovah, I will make melody. I will act with discretion in a faultless way. When will you come to me? I shall walk about in the integrity of my heart inside my house. Verse 3, I shall not set in front of my eyes any good-for-nothing thing. The doings of those who fall away I have hated. And when you think about it, right, the Catholic Church and all those dragon churches, they're apostate, right? Those are the apostates. They apostatized from the teachings of the New Testament, the apostles and Jesus, and they contradict all kinds of things from the Old Testament, right? So they're an apostate church. We've documented this. Watchtower's apostate. They've fallen away too. They've fallen away into this prophecy and chronology that is clearly incorrect and does not properly allow Christians to unite as one flock under one shepherd and to partake together in honor and remembrance of him. We're not here for them. No, Watchtower. Verse 4, a crooked heart departs from me. Nothing bad do I know. Verse 5, anyone slandering his companion in secrecy, him I silence. Don't do that. No, we don't slander people behind their back. We go right up to them and say, hey, gone, right? Anyone of haughty eyes and of arrogant heart, him I cannot endure. That's why I got to get away from Sam. Verse 6, my eyes are upon the faithful ones of the earth, that they may dwell with me. The ones walking in a faultless way. He it is who will minister to me, right? And what Jesus said, you call me teacher and Lord, and I'm the one among you ministering, right? So this is what we're supposed to do. We got to help each other, right? Encourage each other. We've helped each other with things, false doctrine, dealing with these pagans. But there's more. We know that. Now we got to go into that, right? We got to talk more about God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, how to be a faithful person. Things we can do in your area of the world, your community, right? Remember the way that Pliny, when he wrote to Trajan in the early 2nd century, he wrote about the Christians. They met in the house of that woman, of the female Christian who was letting her house be used. And according to Pliny, the testimony he extracted from them, which we know the Christians don't lie, right, was that they met together, they sang hymns to Christ, and they bound each other with an oath, right? Not to lie, not to commit adultery. They partook of the emblems. So it's very basic just things, right? If we can start there even, just like once you have someone, it's not easy, but we do have the internet and videos, but once you have someone near you, I don't care who it is, it only needs to be one. Start there, then you add another, it will happen. Okay. Or if it's someone in another part of the world, just why don't you try to at least have some notification? I don't care if it's a text, an email, or a quick video conference where you say a prayer and you say, hey, let's agree today not to lie, right? Let's go a whole day without lying one time. Let's make sure we do that. I'm sure many of you do that already. What's wrong with just agreeing to do that? You're just letting your yes mean yes. You're not swearing. You're following the early Christian example. And, if it takes something like that to just help you get into a more normal Christian ritual that's based on these examples to feel spiritual, I think it will be very healthy for you. People will start to see it and sense that spiritualness apart from the more aggressive elements that we can get into. We need to try, I think, to be a little bit more regular with basic rituals as Christians that help us commit to the things we already agree, right? We agree are correct. We're not going to steal or cheat anyone today in Jesus' name, right? Why not just agree with that? Do a simple agreement with whoever you're with, or even with yourself if you have no one else, right? Because you're never alone. But try to just make it easy on yourself in a spiritual way that allows you to grow. Sometimes I think we just put too heavy of a burden on us. We think, well, we have to learn, like all these things or these languages. No, I mean, yeah, if you really want to learn all that, you don't need all that to feel spiritual though. So if you do these basic things, you'll feel spiritual. And then when you do the other things, like the deeper study, you won't feel like you're not spiritual also. Sometimes you get so into these more technical things, it can be easy to forget the spiritual bond we have and the Holy Spirit and its fruitage that's supposed to kind of manifest in you. Because you're dwelling so much on facts and mind things that they just take a lot of your focus. So they're important, but if you do it all the time, I think you can miss something. You can miss an element of Christianity and praising God that I try to cultivate, right? As much as I do like studying and getting to these technical and deep, this stuff to me is like, oh, I'm pumped up. One more, let's go. All right, Psalm 102. Let's try to break it up a little bit though, because we can then stop and talk. Let's see if we get a small one here. A bit of a smaller psalm. Get anything longer here. Go up here. Oh, it's too far. 23. This we know this one. Jehovah is my shepherd, I shall lack nothing. In grassy pastures he makes me lie down. By well-watered resting places he conducts me. My soul he refreshes. He leads me in the tracks of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk in the valley of deep shadow, I fear nothing bad, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff are the things that comfort me. You arrange before me a table in front of those showing hostility to me. With oil you have greased my head. My cup is well filled. Surely goodness and loving kindness themselves will pursue me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of Jehovah to the length of days. Right? He's going to arrange a table. Look at that. See, this is what he does right there. You're going to arrange a table for me in front of those who are hostile to me. In other words, Yahweh will set you up, right? He will position you with those who try to damage you and act hostile to you in a way where they're going to have to come to you. And they're going to see just how well Yahweh has been taking care of you. They're going to see your head greased with oil and your cup filled, right? Nothing is going to shake you. Not even death. But while you're alive, right, you're going to be taken care of, and he's going to do that. He's going to make sure if you are faithful. I've seen this my whole life. You do not quit. You will get your reward. I promise you. You don't quit on Jah and Jesus, and you trust in them. I've never, ever had that fail. Psalm 26, judge me, O Jehovah, for I myself have walked in my own integrity, and in Jehovah I have trusted, not in men, that I may not wobble. Verse 2, Psalm 26, examine me, O Jehovah, put me to the test, refine my kidneys and my heart, for your loving kindness is in front of my eyes, and I have walked in your truth. I have not sat with men of untruth, and with those who hide what they are, I do not come in. Well, we know we don't do that here, right? Right there. You can see it. I have not sat with men of untruth. And with those who hide what they are, not going in with those people. Can't trust them. I've hated the congregation of evildoers. And with the wicked ones, I do not sit. Right? And then we're talking about wicked people. Just like in the New Testament, right? Even, of course, there when John's talking about not receiving people, he's talking about the teaching of the Christ coming in the flesh and being the Messiah, right? And here it's very explicitly talking about what? People, men of untruth, liars. Like in Ephesians 2, he found them to be liars. Yeah, that's a good thing in the Old and New Testament. And with those who hide what they are, I don't come in. I hate the congregation of evildoers. I don't sit with wicked ones. Now, see, Watchtower people, you guys apply that to people who don't agree with you on your unique teachings. The things you usually change and probably will change again. That's not appropriate. Yes, if someone's wicked, right? If they're an evil person, blasphemer, or they're openly rejecting the teaching of the Christ, right? Like John talks about, and they were a part of them. Or they just openly oppose you. Well, of course, we don't bring people who are going to obviously be hostile toward our belief or who are evil people in close proximity, right? But we don't treat people who just disagree with our interpretations that way, right? No. Excuse me. Verse 6, I shall wash my hands in innocency itself, and I will march around your altar, O Jehovah. 26:7, to cause thanksgiving to be heard aloud and to declare all your wonderful works. Jehovah, I have loved the dwelling of your house and the place of your residing of your glory. Do not take away my soul with sinners, nor my life along with blood-guilty men, in whose hands there is loose conduct, and whose right hand is full of bribery. As for me and my integrity, I shall walk. O redeem me and show me favor. My own foot will certainly stand on a level place. Among the congregated throngs, I shall bless. Yahweh, right? Oh, that's good stuff. Now I feel better. I'm ready. Now, well, who's here again? We had some new people, I think. David Bannister, on fire. Looks like you guys are having a good time. Oh, yeah. I wanted to also show you. Now, I've been mentioning, right? I've been mentioning the last couple of weeks a video that I saw. I actually had posted it like a month or so ago, a couple months ago maybe, on my community. But I had been mentioning a video about the churches, Catholic and Protestant, and how it doesn't look good for them. Let me share a couple things from that video with you here. What time is it? So yeah, okay, we're doing good. Let me share a couple videos or a couple points from this video with you. Where was that? Okay, here we go. I'm going to pull this up and I'm going to show you parts of this video that I think are really eye-opening because, you know, like I said before, I don't think anyone wants to see, you know, if you're a Christian, even if you're not like part of the mainstream Trinitarian groups. I mean, maybe some of you, I don't know. The thing is with the dragon, in my view, by pretending to be a lamb, right? That to me, see, that's the best place for him to hide because it's the easiest, best place for him to get to the people he's trying to get to. And it's the place where the people who would want to get to him because he's trying to get to us are going to have a hard time attacking because it seems like a Christian, right? He's insulated himself so that even if you disagree with the Catholics and Protestants, even seeing, you know, their Bibles or their churches get attacked, or even they were worse, it would, I think, motivate a lot of us who aren't a part of that, and we'd still be like, wait a minute, that doesn't seem. Watchtowers, of course, a little different, right? They kind of want that to happen. But I think if you're a Christian in any way, you wouldn't like seeing Bibles, right, get banned or burned and all that stuff. See, the dragon knows. He knows this is a harder problem to conquer than I think a lot of people realize. But fortunately, we have the Master and the sacrifice, so we don't have to conquer it correctly all the time. But the more we can conquer it, the happier we'll be. Either way, you need to see this because you need to know what's happening, okay? You need to know that while we're still small but growing, and we're going to continue to do that, right? All we need to do is keep doing what's right. I don't care how many are, and I don't care how many we end up being. Everyone has to start somewhere if you're not going to follow the majority. And we are starting on the right foundation based on the explicit statements of the Bible for the three primary things that Jesus says are necessary for life. It's not just something I came up with or we came up with together. So let's do this. No, there are very good reasons for it. And we give people a lot of freedom and latitude so that you can be held accountable to the Master yourself. Okay. So we don't have this burden of having to, hold everyone accountable for every single thing they do if it's not absolutely critical, which we're not supposed to. We're not supposed to be running around doing that for people and burdening them with all these different rules and regulations, right? That's where a lot of these groups fail. But they're so paranoid with what they're really doing, I think they don't have any choice. Whatever. Either way, let me show you this video and a few things from it. Let me see if I'm going to play. Okay, here's one. I'm going to show you different shots from it rather than play it. And I'll put the link below, okay? But you really should watch this whole video. He is actually, he's been a pastor for a long time. And he's not someone unfamiliar. This is based on his research and actually writing to different churches over many years and collating data in terms of attendance and understanding demographics. So, in any case, you can see here, this is at minute 2, second 9. You can see below, this is from the Coming Church Attendance Crisis. This is the guy right here. Again, I'll put this below. But a quote from the book he's showing there is, more people have left the church in the last 25 years than all the new people who became Christians from the First Great Awakening, Second Great Awakening, and Billy Graham crusades combined. And so obviously that's not a good statistic for churches, but there's actually quite a bit more. Look at this. So he did this survey. He did 8 surveys. Okay, and if you watch this video, right, this is at minute 5, second 1. He narrates it and he tells you everything. This guy's very concerned. So he said he's done 8 surveys: 1982, 83, 84, 89, 99, 2004, 2012, and 2023. All churches within a 5-mile radius of Dixon, average weekend attendance, comparing October to October. And this is based on the head count, okay? So this isn't just people reporting numbers. This is actual him getting the head count from these people. So look, the 2023 findings, they show a drop since 1983 of 60%. That's the head count, like how many people were actually counted, physically counted, looking right at them, 1, 2, 3, okay? Since 1983, over half. That's a huge number, right? That's a pretty huge number. And then let me bring up a little bit more data here. Right, so he's showing these different, look at this here. So he shows you this. So in 1983, that's what the church looked like. It was basically filled with all these H's, right? And these each H represents 100 people. So it's filled in 1983. Then we get to 2023. Look at that. That's over half. Gone. Okay, that's not the sign of growth, right? No, that's contraction, and a violent contraction. So something is not right here with these churches, Catholic and Protestant, that he's showing numbers for. I'm trying to show you numbers in the best way possible without playing. I don't want to have a copyright or anything, or have them, because obviously I'm not a Trinitarian or part of these churches. But in any case, I'll just take myself off for a minute. So you can see here's a comparison. 1983, 2023. So the problem here is it's not just it's obviously a big problem with the numbers, right? The problem is the direction this is going, like he's going to show you, okay? Those half in 2023 that are left, less than half, it's not going in the other direction, right? It's becoming a bigger problem. People are falling off, and there's something wrong with the recruitment process overall. It's not working. So why isn't it working? Well, let's look at a few more numbers first. 2023, so just a couple years ago, right? Drop since 1983, 60%. Drop since 2012, half of that. Let me try to get to the most relevant numbers. Okay, so now he's showing you in smaller increments, right? So right here, you can see over the last basically, 10 years with these two, it's like I said, going in the wrong direction. There's not like an up and down. It's a pretty steep decline is what he's getting at here. And as you're going to see, these numbers, let's see. There's another number here. Right? So a lot of this is, most of it is based on the 2022 findings, but it includes findings from earlier years. So we already know about the drop since 1983, the drop since 2012. That's what we've been looking at. But then you look at the number of churches in 1983 that had 100 plus people. Again, this is in Dixon. There were 12. And now in 2023, there are only 4. So that's a pretty significant difference, right? 1/3 of those churches have 100 plus people. Okay, now he's showing you, right, Protestant churches of 100 or more in 1983. That's the 12 right there. And then if you jump forward to 2023, this is what it looks like. Right? And so that's a dramatic, once it's illustrated, right? It's one thing to hear the numbers, but when you actually look at what's happening, well, what's going to happen in the next 20 years, right? That's the question everyone needs to really be focused on, because if the trend is going the wrong way and it's already this bad from 1983. Okay, now these are critical numbers right here. Look at this. 2023 findings. We know about the first two. We know about the second, the other two, right? So the drop since 1983, 2012, change in 100 plus churches. Look at the last two. 1983 median Protestant attendance, 75. 2023 median Protestant attendance, 43. All of these numbers are bad, right? None of these numbers are even slightly good. It's a catastrophe. Okay, now he's going to talk about the Catholic and Protestant losses here. Okay, so let's look at this. (2023) findings. Protestant attendees, 1983 to 2023, negative 55%. Catholic attendees, 1983 to 2023, 66%. So there's been a lot of online discussion, like in the last couple of months. There was a lot of back and forth with different Catholics and Protestants about, and some of the Orthodox, about who's dying, right? Which churches are collapsing. And I think the consensus was the Catholics are collapsing faster, probably because of Sam, right? but not by much, right? Basically by 11%. So it's a decent amount, but it's not looking good for either one, right? 55% decrease for Protestant churches, 66% decrease for the Catholic Church. This is an interesting comparison. Look at this. So here, in 1983, all attendees, 56% were Protestant, 44% Catholic. 2023, 63% Protestant, 37% Catholic. So that's basically the same drop right there, 7%. Catholics dropped from 44 to 37. Protestants went up. My bad. So 7% swing. Let's just look at a couple other key factors here. This is a huge factor, I think. Right here. Look. The population in 2023 for the entire area of Dixon, 65 and older, 17%. Look at the church population side. Over half. Okay? Over half. This is a huge number. The reason this is huge is you've got over half the people who are actually still attending over 65. This is why I say it's about to become a catastrophe, because how are those people going to appeal to 17% of that age in the population of Dixon? They're not. So it's going to become a catastrophe. These are representative numbers, of course, from Dixon. And then it's similar in many other places. But this is this is a place where you would expect it to be showing signs of growth based on various community factors and historical attendance. I'm just trying to get you the best facts here. This is unbelievable. Look at this. This is really the graph that tells it all. Okay? What he's saying is by 2050, it is game over for Catholics and Protestants. Obviously, it doesn't mean for every single church in every part of the earth. But this is representative of what is happening. And it's a catastrophe. And I think a lot of it is because obviously our culture is insane. I think people are trying to become more spiritual and change that. But the problem is these Catholics and Protestants, the Catholics are just so pagan, right? Once people get in there, they realize, I can't have all these statues looking at me, right? I'm out of here, right? Most people are a little creeped out by all that stuff. And none of that's supposed to be there anyway, right? People just want to be near God. They want to, if you know about Christianity, right, you want to learn about Jesus. And the Catholic Church, right, there's just paganism galore. And then, with these Protestant groups, right, it's just everybody's divided over so many different things, right? Look at all the discussion recently, right, about salvation. And then all the time and energy these guys spend arguing about the new covenant, the old covenant, right? can't figure out anything, right? Never satisfied and just capable of actually believing, right? Oh, it's written, right? And it's not figurative and culturally easy to understand. Okay, so that's what it is. These guys just love to argue and create all these just reasons for watching their videos, right? None of them are really trying to cultivate a genuine desire to grow as a community and learn what the Bible actually says, apart from all this paganism. And that's why, right? That's why we have numbers like this. That's why these things are happening, because I think they just have lost their way. They've been affected by the dragon and all the paganism, the Protestants in this case, and they just can't quite shake themselves of the remnants of that affiliation, right? The creeds, councils, and all that quote unquote orthodoxy. But yet they realize that the Catholic Church and the Eastern the ortho-pagans all became insane, right? They all started using idols and venerating Mary and the saints, right? Just doing all kinds of things that are in the Bible. So what is it you're not seeing about the Trinity and these other things as well? That all came from these same groups. It's not in the Bible. It's not clearly taught. Yes, you guys interpret things that way. We're back to interpretation again. We're talking about what's written. So, oh yeah, they're showing you here. Proposal: a 60-40 church is a church losing critical mass. If a church has at least 60% of attendees age 65 plus, 40 attendees or less, it is likely to close in 10 to 20 years. That's where it's going to become a problem, right? Because that demographic, where the population versus the age of the population versus the age of the people who are attending church, is so dramatically different, with over half the people still attending church over 65, and not even 20% of the population of Dixon in this case over 65. That's not going to work. That's anyone can see those numbers don't work unless you're going to do something to change things, right? It's just not going to happen. So here he gives, let's look at this one last one. 60-40 churches in Dixon. 7 churches are 60-40, meaning they could go out, done, in 10 to 20 years. 5 more are dangerously close. That's 12. That's 80%. How can these 12 survive another 15 years? I don't think you guys can. And what are you going to do? Right? If you don't stop arguing over all this false doctrine, I just don't see it. I don't see how you guys are going to be able to come back. I think it's going to get worse and worse for a lot of groups. Watchtower and others, because they've just taught so many things that are incorrect. Let's see what he says. We'll show one last slide where he lists a few things based on his surveys and study. Right? Random observations to pastors. It's not your fault. I'm going to say it is in a large part because of the things I said. Now, he's not going to see it that way because he's not thinking the doctrine and this stuff is a problem, really. But I think it is. I think people have just reached a point where, like with Watchtower, they can see that the critical things you're using to judge people, whether it's the Trinity or this false chronology, those are both interpretations, and they're not clearly agreeable to what is told to us in the Bible, right? And the way that I think these groups have historically and even today enforced these beliefs, like with threats of heresy and apostasy, it's insane, right? It's crazy. A small church can be healthy and happy. I agree with that. Excuse me. Few have excelled at evangelism. That's because you use whack jobs like Sam. We've failed at relational maturity. definitely, because you guys keep arguing all the time, rethink church. Right. You need to use just the Bible, okay? Use the Bible. Start meeting in homes, or if you have a community building that you have and you want to use it, don't make people pay you money for it. You need to either, like the woman that Pliny was writing about to Trajan, make your home available or your property available so people aren't burdened. Problem is, it's become a business for a lot of you. Religion is a big business. It's a huge business, right? I mean, look at the Catholic Church, all of them, every one of them, except us and a few others, of course. We're not here for your money. We don't want your money. We want you to keep your money. You're going to need it, okay? If I need money, I'll go get a job, unlike some people we know. And I have more than one, so I'm good to go. And if I didn't, I'd go get one, right? We should all be able to do that. And if you have to burden other people just to tell them what the Bible teaches, well, I'm not sure you're very good at that. Either way, I think there are a lot of reasons why these churches are failing. Promotion of false doctrine, failure to appreciate God's name in the Bible and provide translations that do the same, a failure to connect with people on a basic human level, right? Be yourself, like we read in the Psalms. Don't be around evil people who lie all the time. And just try to genuinely assist those who are weak. And don't do that for money or for any other reason than that they are weak. They need help. And when they're better, then they can go help other people, right? So I think just the whole focus and direction is wrong. I think they're too focused on being a business, being, they've been able, they use these churches in different ways and it works for them. But the problem is, once your doctrine, it doesn't appeal to them anymore. You don't have people who can effectively teach the Bible in ways that really appeal to others and are meaningful in their lives, and that you need them to give you money for that. Well, the second your teaching drops off or becomes not worth it, then they're going to find other things to do. So it's a little bit different circumstance with a lot of these churches, Catholic and Protestant, because the money is a big deal. Money is a big deal for these guys. It's never going to be a big deal for us because we're just individual people like the people in the New Testament, like Jesus. We have a job, or if we don't, we will get one. And if we're temporarily unable to do so, we will keep trying so we don't unnecessarily burden people. And then we can be contributing members to our society, not leech off other people and become a spectacle for the world to behold, right? Try to be responsible, make improvements in our life, help people to have confidence and courage so they understand why they're here, what they can do with their life to be meaningful and productive, but without throwing your life and your time away to people and your money, to people who lie or who have been proven liars, right? We need to be less trusting of things that aren't written. Is it written or not? Oh, well, if it's not, that right there, right? Right there, something has to be off if they're telling you it's to be enforced as if it is written. That could be anything almost. So is it written or is it not? It has to be or it's not. And if it's not, you have to stop judging people. You really do. No matter how much you think you're right with your view, if it's not written, it's your view. Maybe people agree with you. You still can't make other people feel bad when it's not written that way, though, right? Or if it's what is written is directly against it, like we don't need anything written to us about end times and seasons. So why are you doing it? I don't know. Looks like for yourself, because we don't need it and it hasn't helped. So what do we need? Well, we need people who are going to actually be themselves, right? And help others become themselves and grow so that we can deal with our limitations, confess our sins, and be given life by the Father through the Son. That's effectively it, right? Help young people not be confused, growing up in this age with all this information available and they're trying to make good decisions, right? Help them understand the benefits of higher education, working hard, but never neglecting Yahweh or honoring the Son or treating others fairly. But never limit. So these groups, right, especially Watchtower and others, they try to because they just want you out there selling their literature and promoting them. No, I want you out there promoting God, Jesus, and practicing the golden rule in every aspect of society, okay? That means education, that means politics, everywhere. No, it doesn't mean you have to run for office. You do whatever you want. We're not here to tell you what to do. You're going to stand before the master. Do you believe in one God the Father? Do you believe in Jesus as a sent forth Savior, the Messiah of the Bible, the golden rule? Okay, well then, I'm on your side. You're good. I don't think you can believe those things sincerely and be doing bad in everything, whatever you choose to do in your life. You'll make mistakes, but I don't think you could be an evil person in anything. So the Bible doesn't say these things. You can't do this. You can't do that. It's these other groups telling you that. Okay? Where's it written? No part of the world. The world is not all these other things. The world is defined literally. The lust of the eyes, the showy display of one's means of life, right? That's the world. These other things are put in place by God to maintain order. You better be a part of it in some way, conducive to your abilities, responsibilities, and not be burdening other people, right? Shunning them because they choose to operate within defined areas of society that aren't illegal or against anything that's written. That's what we're about right there, right? Whether it's, you don't have to believe Jesus is Michael the Archangel, although he is an archangel at least, right? But I believe he's Michael, but I don't force you to believe that, right? I didn't make that like a requirement, as close as it is almost to what is written. Still, it's not about that. It's not about my personal interpretation if that is not what is exactly written. I believe it. I'll argue for that. But I'm not going to judge you over whether you think Jesus is Michael or whether you think he's an archangel that just does these things similar to Michael. To me, that's not necessary to have to require. We can accept both of those as possible without changing our view of who Jesus is, who God is, or the golden rule, right? Well, those are what you need for life, according to Jesus himself. I don't think he was lying, do you? No. So I'm not going to worry about anybody else. I'm not going to worry about Watchtower, nobody. Catholics, Protestant, nobody. No, I worry about you guys and whether or not you're affected by these lies. Or some of them, of course, when I can see they're not thinking clearly or they're just following the dragon. But otherwise, once I realize they're not listening or they don't really care, like Sammy's not even hearing what I'm saying, right? So why would I care? Whatever he's saying isn't based on what he actually heard from me. So he's a disgrace and humiliation, Proverbs 18:13, right? Anyone should be able to see that and say, forget him. At this point, it's over. It took a lot to get there. Well, we're finally there where we can just say, nope, I'm sorry. He's crazy, right? So, I think we'll do a lot of good going forward. We helped establish the doctrinal part, I think, well enough. We've credibly fought our way into respectability because we did not ignore anything that these people have threw at us, and we gave them back everything that they couldn't deal with. So we know we are in the right place. The Bible is the best available evidence for us with respect to the people of God, the Old and New Testament, the history of the people of Jah, and the things that he has done, and the Son. So let's just keep this going. We'll meet again next week, probably next Sunday. Maybe we'll do a Saturday or Sunday, but we'll make it every weekend for now. At least a month to 2 months of live streams once a week. Just these Praise Jah live streams. We'll talk about different things, but we're not going to focus on these just ongoing exhaustive Trinity videos anymore. No, we don't need to do that. It was necessary for reasons they were done. At this point, I see no reason to do any more. But we do need to praise Jah, right? That's not going to stop. No way. So we're finally back to where we should be, everyone. I think we can do a lot of good going forward. So let's just keep doing our best. I'm still working on a lot of things, but I know you are too. So just make sure each day you set yourself a very basic standard. Don't make it hard on you. Right? These groups try to make it hard on you. They make you think you got to just be doing all this stuff all the time. No, If you're focused on being a good person and you're not lying, cheating, stealing, you're probably doing just fine. So don't become disheartened or discouraged because you're not out there always talking about God directly. That's not how it always works. Look for the right time. Ask Yahweh for the right time. The Son and the Spirit are always there to show you the right time when it's there. Sometimes you just need to act like yourself, like the Psalm says, and let people come to you and say, okay, yeah, you seem like someone who pretty disciplined and try to do the best you can in many ways. What do you believe? Look for opportunities like that, right? Try to just live each day in a good way that positions you to be used by Yahweh and the Son, right? They're all active and want us to become healthy, happy, productive people and not always feel like you have to force the issue. Sometimes that makes it worse. But you need to be aware of the right time to take advantage of the opportunity that you've been given. So look for the opportunities. Be patient. Set yourself a goal each day, whatever that is. Today, I'm going to try not to lie, right? Today, I'm going to try to encourage someone to pursue a worthwhile endeavor, right? To do something that will better themselves in a way I can see they're struggling with, but need a little motivation, right? Whatever it is you can think of that's a positive Jah, Jesus, Holy Spirit type thing, just each day set yourself a goal. I'm going to get that done. Even if it's, maybe you have a hard time getting to work each day and not breaking down over all the terrible drivers, right? So your goal might just be to get to work without feeling like you want to have a forklift added to your front car grill so you can lift the car in front of you over you and move ahead of it, right? I'm kidding, but you can see where my mind goes at times. Either way, as long as you don't forklift that car just to get ahead of it, you're fine. Don't worry about it. But try to make yourself feel like, okay, yeah, if you have a problem, whatever it is, set yourself a little goal right there. I think it's important to do that. Telling yourself, today I'm going to do this, you're more likely to do it. So talk to yourself in a healthy, positive way. Keep reading the Bible. Try not to let people who are weak and always negative and complaining and who can't figure out what to do with their life ruin yours, right? We don't need negative people, right? If people are struggling and they need a little encouragement and that's enough to get them on track, no problem. We're not here to destroy our life just because you can't figure out what to do next. It's right there in front of you. Everyone should be able to figure out the next step. So take one at a time. I think that's probably a good place to wrap, right? Let's try to hold things there. Betsy is on fire. And Joseph Abraham came in just in time to annihilate himself and waste his time. Good job for you, Joseph, but not really. But you are not going to bother us, okay? No, Joseph, I just dealt with you very, very effectively and efficiently. I made that a goal today. I said to myself, hey, if any of these people try to disrupt your love feast with these other job praisers, don't let it get to you. No, it's not Sam. And so you don't have to be that way. But they try to be like Sam, so we're just going to move them on out of here. Bye, Joseph Abraham. You wasted your life for no reason at all. And now we look at you like someone who needs help. So good for you. Booker T. Adams, Greg, is Jesus the mediator for the 144,000? Of course. He's a mediator for all Christians, right? So that would include the 144,000. Very good. Every day is a fight, but we will get over it. Yes, we will. So be encouraged. No, we got a lot more coming, a lot of good stuff. Don't you worry. So we dealt with Sam. That was a tough one in terms of the effort and the time and all the insanity. We got it done, right? We collapsed him completely, especially once we finished him off most recently on the whole white thing, John 10. That was the one thing I hadn't finished off with him. Everything else is done. I can't think of anything. And we pushed it to the highest level with Sam. Sam was their best in terms of the overall arguments and knowledge of those issues. So we took care of him. Took care of Bowman, took care of White, right? Protestants, Calvinists, and we took care of Sam. He gives us the Catholic and the ortho-pagan side. So we finished them all off, everybody. I'm sure there'll always be someone else. And if we have to, we'll do what we have to with that person as well. But unless the arguments improve and they can show they're actually listening to my videos like Sam no longer is, not interested. So search the channel and check the new playlist once I get them done. And hopefully that'll be enough for anybody who still has questions. Otherwise, I suggest you limit your time with people who aren't going to listen to what is written, right? If they're not going to listen to what is written, we can't help them. One God the Father, one Lord Jesus Christ. And no, those aren't parallel expressions. No one made God God. God made Jesus Lord. Not only according to Acts 2:36 since his resurrection, but according to Philippians 2:9-11. Made Lord, one Lord. Remember that track I put up which shows all the connections? To the glory of God the Father. You understand? There's a difference there. It's very clear to everybody except the Trinitarians. So don't let them confuse you. One God the Father, one made Lord Jesus Christ, to the glory of God the Father. God the Father as Lord isn't Lord to anyone else's glory. Trinitarians aren't going to figure that out though, okay? So you have to be convinced of it, no matter how frequently they show they're not. With that having been said, may Jah bless you all. Until next weekend when I see you again, in Jesus' name.